What's going on, people? Let's randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate right about now. All right, so this is what we're talking about. We're talking about game plans, okay, and training regimens to prepare for each fight. Now, something I noticed for a long time, not just now, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it really, I can remember the change when people started really booing boxers was like around the time when Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez was doing their thing in their primes. Because let's be real, you can go and watch a lot of Pernell Whitaker fights. People boo Pernell a lot, and people criticize Pernell a lot, and it's always like through time you start to see, it's like when you're no longer fighting or when you're no longer alive, now people appreciate, what you did more now that you're no longer there. Pernell Whitaker fought people, and like it sounds like he come out and he wouldn't get too loud of an ovation. And I'd watch him fight, and I can remember when he was preparing, him and Chavez was going to fight. They were preparing for their fight, and people was, all of these guys, Gil, Clancy, Lampley, all of them, oh, he's not going to be able to play with Pernell. Pernell, like, everybody had an opinion. With Chavez, everybody had an opinion. Pretty much was talking about Pernell has been a slick boxer so far. He's very skilled, but Chavez is on another level. I believe Chavez is going to be too strong, too powerful, and that style, that pressure, I just don't think Pernell is going to have anything for it. You saw what happened in the fight, and we all know Pernell was robbed. There's nowhere in hell that fight was a draw. Nowhere even close to being a draw. But I can remember people starting that, and Larry Holmes was a guy that always pretty much got booed. People hated him after he beat Ali. Ali was old and on his, pretty much that fight should have never happened. And also for the comment that he made about Rocky Marciano couldn't carry my jockstrap, and people hated him for that, and other reasons too. And a lot of it was bullshit. Larry Holmes never really got his credit either. But I can remember clearly, people got to the point where they started really leaning towards knockouts. And I can remember they appreciate it, because remember, when Larry Holmes fought Ken Norton was always, trying to take your head off, try to, get in, just knock you out. And I remember when Larry Holmes beat him, in their fight for the championship. It was a real solid fight. But I also remember thinking, if Ken Norton is washed up or, just pretty much not the same fighter, and he wasn't, it was like, why is Larry Holmes having such a hard time with him? And I'm looking like, okay. And I would watch Larry Holmes fight, and even though Larry Holmes could box, Larry would try to knock you out. The young Larry especially, like he was trying to knock you out. But Larry just never got the credit. The point that I'm pointing out, like, you had guys that could box that was also trying to knock people out, but you had guys that was just strictly knockout guys. Like, I didn't care too much for Ernie Shavers. Like, the guy could punch, yeah, okay, but he really couldn't take punishment too well, and he really, it was nothing special about Ernie Shavers to me. He just had a punch. I don't care, like, they legend what? Just because you come from a certain era of time don't make you no goddamn legend. What did Ernie Shavers do legendary in the sport? Now, I'm not saying this shit to rag on him. I'm just saying, what the fuck did he do? I remember him losing to Ali. He rocked Ali twice and a couple of times in the fight. It was a great fight because they, at that point too, Ali didn't have that, any real snap at his punch anymore. And he was never really a big puncher to begin with. Neither was Larry Holmes. But I remember, again, Shavers going in there against Larry Holmes twice. He made excuses. He said he was injured in the first fight. Second time they fight, he get beat and say the same thing. He was injured. But he claimed he was 100% healthy. But anyway, I just remember the Chavez Tyson era where everything was knockout, 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 knockout. Terry Norris was a guy that was getting a lot of knockouts, and whenever he would decision a guy, I mean, because Terry could fight. Terry was a very entertaining guy, man. But that was, to me, his downfall. The mistakes and getting too overzealous to get knockouts and then wound up getting caught himself. But yeah, that's really when I remember the knockout craze. So it's not like it's something that just started, but it's like people just overlook preparation. If, like, example, I always say this, man, and I've pointed it at Errol Spence because, like, use him as example because he does this shit. You have different, adjust to your opponent because of his height, reach, speed, his weaknesses, his strengths, and this is what you're studying for. If I have a fighter 6 feet tall, he's fighting a guy 5'8", and he's out there fighting this guy in a phone booth, so to speak, I have an issue with that, man. I mean, even if you're a great inside fighter, you only need to do that if the guy gets in and it's necessary. But like Errol Spence, he just liked to fight that way, and he makes the fight harder for himself. I mean, look, off your jab, work off your jab, use that reach, use your reach. Why are you fighting on the inside with this guy? And you get hit with shots that you shouldn't get hit with. It's like, what is going on in these training camps that these guys are not understanding this? Why are these guys fighting so straight up? No head movement. They just come in a straight line with their hands up, and they're just there to be hit. And it's like, for these guys that sit and say they study the old fights and the old greats, and okay, are you just watching the fight as a fan or watching it sitting there with popcorn like it's a movie, or are you trying to like learn that, okay, I should move my head more, I should, a lot of these guys are just not seeing it. It's like they don't have the basic fundamentals of boxing, man. Even like when guys, throw shots, like even when guys shadow box, I always wondered, like, my whole thing was always to throw shots without people being able to detect you, right? When I see guys doing this shit, what the fuck is this, man? If this is how you train and hopping from side, this is some shit that can be telegraphed. And you see guys, they throw punches and they all, I always trained and was taught the less body movement, all this excess body movement, that's what gets you, they can detect just watching your feet, watching the way your shoulders move and all that. So I felt like, you know what? When I hit the bag and I train, I'm going to throw punches as if I'm in a fight, instead of just throwing a bunch of shit that I'm not going to do in a fight, and your endurance, and stamina, when you can throw a lot of shots, that's cool. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying when you throw these combinations trying to look fancy, but I'm not going to throw that shit in real life. You understand what I'm saying? When you're hitting the bag, nothing's coming back at you. So even when you're hitting the bag, pop, 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 you throwing your shots, you picking your shots, you head movement, on your legs, whatever your style is, the point is, like, it makes me think, what are these guys, how are they preparing for these fights when they go into a fight and then fight everybody the same fucking way? Like, you're fighting this short guy the same way you fought the tall guy. You're fighting this slow guy the same way, you fought the fast guy. You fight, like, what are you training for? It's like, are you just trying to be in shape, but abandoning your game plan? I just see so much of it that it makes me think, like, are they just not listening to their trainers, or are these younger trainers just, they don't know the basic fundamental? Which is it? Because it's always a thing where you see fighters, like, I remember even like Adrian Broner, watching him train, and his trainer was in a gym with him. He's telling him, Adrian, why are you throwing your combination like that, man? Let your hands go. And Adrian he's arguing back with him, and this was right before the Mikey Garcia fight. And it's like, yeah, that's the state of mind that Adrian's in. That's like, he doesn't let his hands go. Though, one shot at a time, one shot, occasional 1-2, one shot. And it's like, when these guys are training, and all of the, the social media comments and all this stuff, that I don't know if they're trying to cater to people a lot of times, but it's like, when you're training and you're studying tapes of your opponent and you see his strengths and weaknesses and mistakes, and you say, I got a game plan, but then you go in there and you do the same thing. I don't understand, like, why that's not being corrected. You know, so many times when you watch a fight and both guys leave lumped up, and it's like, why? I mean, Timothy Bradley was a guy, to me, that he fought guys, like when he fought Provodnikov, it's like, why use your boxing skills? I mean, Timothy Bradley's career was cut short. He said out of his own mouth that I don't want to do any more damage to my brain than what I've already done. And that's why he had to cut it short. I mean, it's like you as far as the fans are concerned, giving them their money's worth used to be watching a great fight. Now it's just, I want to see somebody get knocked out. And you're putting your health at risk by fighting stupidly, by fighting in the way you shouldn't. There's no way you should be 6 feet fucking tall, fighting the guy 5'8", and this guy 5'11", whatever, long, you 3, 4, 5 inches taller, and you're fighting this guy like you're the same height. There's no way. When you guys saw Thomas Hearns fight Sugar Ray Leonard, you see what Hearns was doing? As long as he was keeping Sugar Ray going back, but he was keeping him on the end of that jab. And as he's coming, anytime Ray would try to make a forward advance, what would he do? He would get that where he could use his reach or throw that shot. And now, once he's throwing shots and he starts to land, he's coming forward, but he's trying to get Ray out of it. He's throwing bombs, but he would go back to working off his jab. Because why? He's much taller than Ray. Why does he need to fight Ray at close quarters when he doesn't have to? He's trying to command and show ring generalship and trying to press the fight because he knows he hits real hard and that Ray doesn't want to stand there and try to trade with him. He knows that. Now, look at when Hearns fought Hagler. The difference in that fight, Hearns wasn't trying to use his jab and his reach. He was trying to go to war. And the thing is, even though he was ahead on points in that fight before he got knocked out, stylistically, through the course of the rounds, going through the fight, that favored Marvin Hagler. Because Marvin Hagler, that is the way he fought. And he couldn't outbox Hearns. So his thing was, I'm not trying to outbox you, I'm trying to get you out of here. But Hearns, trying his hardest to knock him out, don't have the common sense to realize, like, you know, I'm hitting this dude and he keeps coming. All right, I need to keep him on the end of my shots. And, you know, I don't think Hearns had the confidence to think he could do that. I think he felt like he had to try to get Hagler out of there. And either way, it didn't work for him. But you see what I'm saying? When you take a slick fighter, a boxer that knows how to adjust to anything, man, you don't give them that credit. You think, like, you know, they people that said Leonard ran from Hearns, they didn't say Hearns ran from Hagler. They said it was a great war. Hearns was on his bicycle trying to keep distance and trying to throw punches, but he wasn't standing there fighting with Hagler like that. Why? Because he knew it didn't work in his favor. But I think he felt like he had to knock him out in order to win. I don't think he felt like he could just outbox him for 12 rounds. That eventually Hagler's going to keep coming, so I got to hit him with everything. But a smart boxer would understand, you know what, man, I'm hitting this guy. Okay. Then if he can take it, I'm going to give it to him all night long. But I'm going to make him miss. I'm going to make him pay. I'm going to box. I'm going to do what I have to do. If your game plan that you're working on is not working in the ring, then if you acquire the skills and the understanding of what you should be doing, you got other things to resort to. But if not, and this is what the difference with skill levels, where it'll come out of people. And I bring up Floyd a lot, man, because I have to in these situations. Well, not that I have to, but I like to, because his skill level is what I'm saying. How this dude adjusts to whatever's going on in the ring. He doesn't lose, then come back and do it in the rematch. He does it in the first fight. So even with the rematches he had, he won the first fight, then won the rematches. So it's just the things when he's in there, he knows, okay, he studies you, man. He gets you and he's like, I got you now. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand, like, it's like, you don't just fight one way. You have to adjust to what's going on. And I always say, I don't think it's wise to depend on your opponent to make mistakes. And a lot of times you watch guys fight, they think, yeah, he has a tendency to do this and do that and do this. And then all of a sudden when you fight him, he's not doing that anymore. It's like, now what do you do? So I don't understand the training, man. Well, the times change, people ways of thinking change. That's why, because we think different. But I don't understand like the trainers claim that, you know, they're hard, they train hard, these guys, they push them, and you know, I always talk about respect and props to the legends. It's not about saying props and respect to the legends. It's about understanding the science of boxing, and it's like that's to me that's where a lot of the boxing is dead. Now, guys like Devin Haney can box. He can fight. He can box. Gervonta Davis, Lomachenko. There's guys that can box, man. Terrence Crawford. You know, I like Errol Spence. He's a banger puncher. There's guys that can box. Don't get it twisted. But I'm saying overall, it's like everybody just go for the home run. Everybody wants to, even Shane Mosley got to a point where, you know, like I said in another video, Jack Mosley's constantly telling him, Shane, let your hands go, man. You too fast for this guy, man. And it's like they just don't get it anymore, man. It's like no head movement, you know, no real lateral movement. They don't know how to set traps, and I mean, and I mean, you know, just they don't. It's just no special effects, man. Just straight line. Just let's see who lands first, and it's like we're calling this shit boxing. That's not fucking boxing, man. I mean, me standing there letting you hit me because I'm supposed to care about people saying, oh, he ran, or he... No, it's not running. Even just to give lateral movement, man, you know, turn your shoulders, you know, where you can counter, do shit that, I mean, it's like guys don't even know how to parry punches anymore. They don't know how to roll with shots and counter, even counter with the same hand, you know, block out. It's just little shit I watch, and I'm like, man, like, what happened? The sweet science, you don't even hear that term being used anymore, man. It's like, we need to stop calling it boxing and just call it fighting. That's the way I feel about it, man. It's like, you don't see boxing. And it's like, when you box, they don't appreciate it. And that's part of my point with Pernell. I don't care how much we talk about Pernell was great, Pernell was this and this. I think that overall, because Chavez being there and because of Mike Tyson, that era of, that's when I can clearly remember everybody wanted to, because even look at Trinidad. People talked about Felix Trinidad like he was just the baddest motherfucker. And I'm like, Trinidad he's cool. He's not as, I never saw Trinidad the way everybody else did. Trinidad needed you to stand there and pretty much not be active or trying to decide what you want to do, and he'd catch you because he had fast hands. He threw a quick 1-2, but he left himself open. He would get dropped, then get up and knock his opponent out. I watched him get easily and clearly outboxed by De La Hoya. And, you know, but they robbed De La Hoya. Even though I wanted Trinidad to win, I just feel like he didn't win. They robbed him. And people will say, oh, Trinidad would have knocked Floyd out. Trinidad, same guy that y'all said was going to knock out Bernard Hopkins. And I remember all these so-called experts. The one who came closest to making an opinion that made some kind of sense was Teddy Atlas, when he said he's predicting Trinidad will win in a hard, tough fight with a tough veteran like Bernard Hopkins. And I said, Hopkins should beat the shit out of Trinidad, man. Y'all overhype this guy. Trinidad is not as good as what y'all say. Trinidad, like I said, he depends on you to stand there and do nothing. You know, he had that weird balance, man. He kind of wobbled and shit, and he threw those, sometimes he would like loop his punches, and he would do that little thing where he would go and come back up with his hands not hit. He would always get popped, and he'd do that little bounce, and he do the same shit. He was so predictable. That's why when I would watch him fight, and it's not to take credit from him, it's just certain fighters we try to make seem like they were better than what they were. And we go bring all these names up like, okay, good. You remember him? I remember him too, man. You know, like I remember watching Livingstone Bramble when he knocked out Mancini. It was a good scrap. And Mancini, you already knew how he was going to fight. Pretty much, you know, Bramble was kind of the same. He fought the same way. But I thought between the two of them, it was going to come down to toughness. And Livingstone Bramble was able to take Mancini's shit better than Mancini was able to take his shit. You know, but it was one of those fights again where you watch guys, you kind of know what to expect, but it's like, people always like a good knockout. But I feel like boxing, the sweet science was far more appreciated back in the day than it is now. Now it's all about knockout, knockout. And I just feel like I said, we should just call it fighting instead of boxing, because the boxing aspect of it is not appreciated. And I think, like, back to my point, like with Pernell, he wasn't appreciated as a boxer, because as great as he was, let's be real, nobody really brings up Pernell other than people. Like, I don't think you got to be a fan of somebody to appreciate what they did and respect what they did. Nobody really talks about Pernell. Only time they bring up Pernell is when they try to shame Floyd, they try to say he was better than Floyd or whatever. But other than that, you don't hear people comparing Pernell to Ray Leonard. You don't hear them comparing Pernell to Terry Norris. You don't hear them comparing Pernell to Oscar De La Hoya, even though they fought. But you don't hear those conversations. All you ever hear them they talk about the sparring match, what they heard, or they try to make Floyd look bad. That's all they ever do. And I'm like, damn, I'm looking at him, I'm looking at like Meldrick Taylor, I'm looking at different guys, man, that was great boxers. But then I'm looking at the era and thinking, like, it was around, I can remember going to the gym myself, and this time that we being in, like, they would have fight tapes on and stuff, like, and different shit. Like, I remember, like, just the Chavez to Tyson era, man, where everybody just went knockout crazy, because Chavez was knocking down everybody out, Tyson was knocking everybody out, and it was like, yeah, I think that's when the monster was really elevated to where all we want is knockouts. So anyway, that's all I want to say on that video. I will see y'all on the next one.